Mr. President, let me know if I can ask you a question.
Sure.
Right now, sir?
Yeah.
With the most recent hack by the Russians, would you say that this means
We're
that...
not sure it's the Russians.
Okay. With
I
this most...
got a brief as I was on the plane. That's why I was late getting off the plane. I got a brief and.
I think you're right.
All right.
Would you like your
Do we
receipt?
know who it might be, sir?
I'll be in better shape to talk to you about it. Hang on a second. I'll tell you what they sent me. Okay. The idea. First of all, we're not sure who it is for certain. Number one. And what I did, I directed the full resources of the government to assist in a response if we determine. What else you need?
Oh, nothing. You're all set.
Okay. And the fact is that I directed the intelligence community to give me a deep dive on what's happened, and I'll know better tomorrow. And if it is either with the knowledge of and or a consequence of Russia, then I told Putin we will respond. And
You didn't tell him already, sir?
no, I haven't called because we're not certain. The initial thinking was it was not the Russian government, but we're not sure yet. So.
Yikes. I don't know how much time in office the big guy has left, but if Kamala serves more than 2 years of his first term, then it counts as a full term for her. And she can only run for one more term if that's the case. If she takes over 1 year and 11 months and 29 days, she could go for another 2 terms, extending her run for almost 10 years. That's what this is about. I go by Osiris. This is Stuck in the Middle. Thank you for joining. I do uploads at least one every day, 9 a.m. Mountain Time. Everyone is seeing Joe Biden stumble to the finish line. And the finish line isn't his full first term. It's that 2-year mark. And they're looking at who's going to take over. Washington, D.C. obviously is more about who has power, money, and influence. If Kamala Harris is allowed to sneak through those first 2 years, then she can go on that almost decade run I was talking about. And that's what normally would happen with the vice president. What we're seeing right now is Kamala Harris under fire. This is not normal.
The White House was just asked about reports of rising tension between the staffs of the president and the vice president. Axios reports that top White House officials are rushing to defend Vice President Harris. But according to unnamed sources, her team has had PR bungles and public bickering and infighting.
Something's going on. Kamala's under siege. Someone is trying to attack her politically, in my opinion. And it's just the proof that I have is just what's out there. This is not normal. You didn't see this happen with Pence. You didn't see this happen with Biden. It's a very unique situation. Now, if elections are held with integrity, there's no way. So I'm talking about general election. There's no way if our general election is held with integrity right now, there's a 0% chance, in my opinion, that Kamala Harris would beat Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis. And I think a lot of other people agree on the establishment side. So Kamala is under attack in D.C. They're taking the gloves off. I'm going to talk about this from the standpoint of what are the allegations and then who would be in line, because that's the next question. It's really more about, not as much about the allegations. I want to share that with everyone, but it's more about who would it be in 2024. Here are some of the allegations just in terms of the public-facing stuff. It hasn't been a stellar 6 months, said David Axelrod, formerly the senior campaign and White House advisor to President Obama. It hasn't been a stellar 6 months. Wow. At least 3 Harris staffers have left in recent weeks, and others are said to be considering the same. Harris has not been returning phone calls to people who have considered themselves members of her inner circle, including donors and people who supported her Senate and White House runs, according to some of the people with knowledge of the situation. It's not a healthy environment, and people often feel mistreated. It's not a place where people feel supported, but a place where people feel treated like, eh. She's under attack. There's no reason for that stuff to come out publicly other than she's under attack. Now, you could say she's running a bad ship. She ran a bad presidential campaign. Yeah, that could be part of it. But when you see this on CNN, that's not that. CNN chooses what they run and what they don't run. There was news recently about Julian Assange and his case that came out. Not a peep. Not a peep. They choose what they put on here. So you could say, oh, it's because Kamala runs a bad ship. But why is CNN talking about it? Because they don't have to talk about it. No matter what's going on, what's big, they often don't put Antifa stories on there. They choose what they put on there. She had these PR bungles. She waited for Trump to announce his border trip, which we all probably knew he was going to do, because that is a very red area down there. It's friendly to Republicans. The Republicans had already gone down there. We knew that was going to happen. They should have known. They get paid to know this stuff. So she waited for Trump to announce, then she announced. That's a terrible look. Didn't even go to the border where the problems were. And I understand why, because that's not a Kamala Harris friendly area, but she still didn't have a welcome team. They're supposed to set it up to have at least some people that support you there. She's got this laughter thing going on, and then she blames it on gender and race. I'm sorry, no one has time for that with no evidence. I think it's fair to wonder, because I don't know. I don't know if the criticism is because of gender or race. I can't say it is or isn't. But we have no facts either way. So don't bring that up as a defense mechanism. I agree. I understand there's this double standard potentially with women who are powerful and motivated, and they come across as too motivated. And that doesn't happen to men. I think there is that double standard. I just have no proof of it here. All of this comes down to one thing. Who could replace her? Black celebrities, prominent black women, wrote letters to Biden saying that he had to pick her specifically. And they brought I can't put a number on it, but they brought a lot of black voters to the Democratic Party. So to move Kamala out of there is a big deal because you're going against that. You need intersectionality of identities to upseat her. You're not going to see a plain white male upseat her. You're not going to see Sheldon Whitehouse be the one. I'm just picking him because he's just a white male. It could be the establishment making a play for Stacey Abrams, but I just don't think she's who they want. And it could be the establishment making a play for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to be president. But I think AOC's really hurt herself. And I don't think they're doing that to bring her up to that limelight, not yet at least. I actually think it could be for Mayor Pete Buttigieg. He is an establishment guy, an impressive guy, extremely one of the brighter candidates for presidents I've ever seen. I know there's a lot of progressives hate him because he's got $1 billion donors and he's the establishment guy, and they even call him a CIA guy. I don't think he's the end of the world. Let's just say that. But I think that's who it could be. Press Secretary Jen Psaki was asked about the Kamala Harris drama beef issues between the White House and Kamala Harris.
Thank you, Jen. Is the White House concerned that some vice presidential staffers reportedly feel like they work in a, quote, abusive environment?
Well, I would first note that I try not to speak to or engage on anonymous reports or anonymous sources. I will say that the Vice President is an incredibly important partner to the President of the United States. She has a challenging job, a hard job, and she has a great supportive team of people around her. But other than that, I'm not going to have any more comments on those reports.
Okay.
That was not an endorsement. Notice what was missing. that Kamala is doing a great job in her first 6 months. That was not that. There's something off there, and you can see it from the body language. I mean, if somebody asked me a question about somebody I feel confident in, I'm gonna feel confident. I'm not gonna be defensive. I'm gonna tout their accomplishments and tout why I picked them, or you'll be more out there in defending them. That was not an endorsement. Joe Biden gave her a terrible assignment on the border. I know she didn't want it. It's a no-win assignment. That was my first red flag, and then it's just blown up from here. Joe Biden thinks very highly of Mayor Pete Buttigieg. And I don't think Joe Biden picked Kamala Harris. Joe Biden's son, Beau, passed away tragically due to brain cancer. Beau Biden was incredibly smart. He was potentially on track for governor, and who knows beyond there. Sky was the limit for him. So unfortunately, he passed away, but it means something if Joe Biden is going to compare somebody to his son that passed away that he thought very highly of.
I don't think I've ever done this before, but he reminds me of my son, Beau. And I know that may not mean much to most people, but to me, it's the highest compliment I could give any man or woman.
Mayor Buttigieg had big-time establishment backing. He plays the game. You remember how it went down with Iowa in the Iowa caucus? How he announced victory, he proclaimed victory before it was even done?
So what's happening in Iowa is how are they going to cheat? How are they going to cheat Bernie? Right? So that's the question. Well, they're doing it. This is how you rig a primary. How do you rig a primary? Well, one of the ways is you stop the count of the first primary if the guy you don't want to win is going to win. And then you stop it inexplicably where the guy you want to win is in the lead. You tell nobody how you came to those numbers, why you chose those 62% of the votes to count at this moment. You have no transparency about any of that. And then all day long, every news station, newspaper, front page of the New York Times, they all report Pete Buttigieg wins Iowa. That's what happened. That's what happened. So here we go. So this is what if you turned on CNN yesterday, this is what you were seeing. You were seeing Buttigieg holds lead in Iowa caucuses. That's the headline. Buttigieg holds lead in Iowa caucuses. That's with 71% counted. So all day long, they're saying this. This is what a guy looks like who knows the system is rigged in his favor. And he doesn't want to talk about it. So he declares victory. And now all of these people are asking him, watch the creepy... Hey, what I said, hey, why not pretend you're a psycho and grin like an idiot without speaking while reporters ask you about your victory? Okay, ready? Got the volume up? Here we go.
Mayor Buttigieg, was it premature to declare a victory?
How do you feel about Iowa?
How do you feel?
You said victorious last night. You think that's too early, or you feel like your numbers are going well?
Mayor Buttigieg, was it premature to declare a victory?
How do you feel about Iowa?
How do you feel?
Then he went out there. You saw that. He went out there, put on the fake smile. He didn't answer the questions because he didn't want to get into a more awkward position. He knows how to play the game. And I'm not saying he's behind the Kamala Harris stuff. I'm just saying who would be that person if something happened and it wasn't Kamala in 2024. Who would it be? Right now, I'm going to put my bet on it would be Mayor Pete Buttigieg. I'm starting to think that Kamala isn't the one the establishment wanted. I always thought she was because she was forced upon Biden. Maybe there were the celebrities maybe forced the hand of the establishment to do it. But in the end, Kamala, my recommendation for Kamala Harris is to fire. She's going to have to fire a lot of people. And I know it will cause more stir. It will cause a big uproar. But I can't have this. This can't be done. And I don't know if it needs to be Tina Furnoy or whoever. She could go too. She was with Clinton. She knows how to get stuff done. And this is falling apart. So you're seeing why Trump surrounded. People looked at Trump like, why did he surround himself with family? This is why. Kamala Harris is in D.C. She's been a senator. She knows the ins and outs, and she's getting eaten up by the swamp. Much less if you see a private citizen like Dave Smith, for me, that I would vote for president. You've got to protect these things. Just because it's Trump, you can't say, oh, who cares? Because what if there's a guy that I want that's not in the establishment to go to D.C. and they're going to get eaten up like a rabbit in the middle of a swamp with 100 alligators around. Someone out there doesn't want Kamala in 2024. Let me know what you think. Am I missing someone? Could it be somebody else? Tell me, if you had to bet on somebody who would be the replacement for Kamala Harris in 2024, now who would you want? Who do you think it would be? Because who I would want from the Democrat side, I don't even know if I can think of a Democrat. I can't even think of one. I think they want, and it will be, Mayor Pete Buttigieg. Let me know what you think. Thanks a lot for listening. Take care.